In this video, we're going to talk about recursion. Recursion is when a method calls on itself. And in order for this to work, we need a base case so that it terminates, because if it keeps calling on itself to infinity, we get something called a stack overflow error. Now, we're going to do more interesting problems later when I return, but for today, we're going to learn how to trace various problems. And these are on the handout you've received. So we're going to do the first 4 on the handout in this video. So in this first problem, we have a method called M1. And we're going to send it this int 7 right here. So 7 is going to go in for n. Now to trace this, I'm going to actually just make my notes. I'm calling on M1 7. And I can see that when I go in here, if n equals 1 and n doesn't equal 1, then I'm going to return this, m1 n minus 1. Now this is calling on the method again. So this is going to call on and say, hey, do this method, but instead of doing it with 7, I want you to now do it with 6. So now I'm really right back up here, but instead of my input being a 7 this time, my input is a 6. N isn't 1, so I call on it again. And this time my n is 6, so I call on it with m1 5. And then I keep doing this because now my input here is a 5, so n is 5. It's not 1, so I call on the method again. m1 is 4. And then, let's see, I call on it again. m1 is 3 this time, so I've skipped over. This is now a 3. N is still not 1, so I call on it again. I'm running out of space here. M1, I call on it and I send it 2. And so let me clean this up here. So now N is 2. It's not 1, so I call on it again, and M1 is, sorry, I'm calling on M1 with the number 1. And now I get my base case, which is 25, and it returns 25, and it returns 25 to here. And then that one just keeps returning that answer. So the answer gets returned up and up and up and up and up. So this is kind of like you playing telephone, where this one gives a message, message, message. And when the answer comes back, it has to trace all the way back up so that the person who asks for it gets it back. And that's why it's called a stack. So we have this stack of calls. We called on it with 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we go reverse in the stack. And basically each one returns that value back. All right, and that's how we get the answer, 25. Let's look at our next problem. In this problem, we're supposed to explain why it has a stack overflow error. So let's just jump in and try calling on M2, 3. And we'll look at this first thing and say, okay, n doesn't equal 1. We're going to return M2 of 4. And wait a second. These are just going to keep getting bigger, and you'll notice we never reach the base case. All right? Never reach the base case. And if we never reach the base case, this is going to call into infinity, but your computer can't handle it forever, and eventually it's going to have a stack overflow error. All right, so now let's try this one. You might have thought after this first one, we just return the number that's here, but we can see the answer is 45, and we're got a 25 here. So some of them get a little more complex. So let's try this one. We're calling on M36. So we're sending the number 6. And n does not equal 1. And what we're going to return is not just M35, but we're going to add n on. Now right now, n is 6. So the 6 is the n here. So I'm going to return 6 plus M35. Well, I can't figure out that answer till I know what M35 is. So I'm going to figure out what M35 is. And when I do that, now my n is the value of 5. So n is 5. It's not 1, so I'm going to return 5 plus M34. Now I have to figure out M34, which is 4 plus M33. I keep doing this until I hit 1, right? So here I'm going to call on 3, because that's my n, plus M32. And my n is 2, so I'm still not to my base case. I do this one more time, and here I've got 2, which is n, because I want n right here, plus m3 of n minus 1, which is 1. This time I know my base case. My base case is if n equals 1, I return 25. So I'm just going to replace that with a 25. Well, I take 25 plus 2 and return it here. That's 27. 3 plus 27 means this value is 30. 30 plus 4 means this value is 34. 34 plus 5 gives me 39. And lastly, 39 plus 6 gives me the answer that I was looking for, which is 45. Oops. All right, let's do one more together. So here's our next one. We've got m41 equals 21, and this time our base case is not 1, it's 6. So we're going to start off with this, and they told us the answer is 21. So here we go. M4 at 1. My base case is not 6, so I go down here, and I'm going to take n. My n is 1, so 1 plus m4 times, and I'm adding this time, so 1 plus 1 is 2. I can't figure this out till I know the answer to this. So n is 2 plus m4, 3. For this one, n is 3, and the number in here goes up by 1, 4. Here, let's see, n is 4 plus m4 of 5. My base case is 6, so I've got one more to go. And I'm going to do 5 plus m4 of 6. And now I know that if n equals 6, I return n. Well, let's see, my n right now is 6. Okay, so here's 6. 5 plus 6 is 11. 4 plus 11 is 15. 3 plus 15 is 18. 2 plus 18 is 20. And 1 plus 20 is 21, the answer that we were looking for. All right, so your job now is to finish out the exercises for this for tomorrow.